Hey scrapbookers, it's Katie Scott. So what do you do when you want to scrapbook an ancestor and you don't have any pictures and you don't have any information about them? Well, you maybe tell a story about the place where they lived. So this is the story of John Alexander Wightman, who came to Canada from England in 1837. I don't have any photos of him. I don't have any more information other than he was like 8 years old when this happened. But I don't know a whole lot about his life. So instead I still told the story about where he lived. So he lived in Harvey settlement. This is a picture of the boat that brought them over, and then I've copied all of this from a website about the history of Harvey settlement, New Brunswick. So all of this whole story is about that. It doesn't really have anything to do with John, but because I put his name in here and it's going in the bigger context of an album, if I find in the future a story about John Alexander Wightman, that would be awesome. And then I would know exactly where in the album where it's going to go. Now, who's this guy? This is Sir John Harvey, who made the whole, Harvey settlement possible. So they named it after him. So that's the page. Let's get started. Hey scrapbookers, welcome to my series on scrapbooking your great-great-grandparents. So who are your great-great-grandparents? They are the grandparents of your grandparents. So you have four grandparents, and they each had 4 grandparents. That means 16 great-great-grandparents. So I've finished. I'm almost halfway through. So I've started with my dad's grandparents, and so this was these are his paternal grandparents, so the grandpa and grandma, and then these are his maternal great grandparents, so his mother's parents. And I'm adding in so between each one, the section openers will have a fan chart or the circular chart of all of, the ancestors, so you can see who we're talking about. And I'm thinking about putting actually like a stickers with the surnames so that you can see like, okay, we're talking about these ones. But I'm not totally sure because there's actually, in each set, there's going to be 4 surnames in the second great grandparents. So I'm not totally sure how I'm going to do that yet. But this is the book so far. So I've got the spread of the great grandparents, and I'm doing it so where I'm making the first names big. And the reason that I did that is I saw another YouTuber do it, and I liked it. And her name is Hello Jilski. She's doing a heritage scrapbook album series as well, and her videos tend to be a lot shorter than mine. So if you like something shorter, she's a good one to check out. Anyways, because I think that when you put the boy, that really doesn't show up very well on that, does it? Anna and Robert. But when you use their first names, it makes you feel like they're more human than if you're just using the last names, I think. And then I go through and I'll put some censuses and stuff like that in just 8.5 by 11 page protectors. So now this is my father's mother. So this is her fan chart, and she's going to have 4 grandparents, just like everybody does. And so I finished the first 2, Jack and Belle. And in Jack's story, I told the story about how he died. And they both lived in the settlement of Harvey in New Brunswick in Canada. And so all 4 of my Nana Ruby's grandparents lived in Harvey. So while I don't have any photos of the people, I was able to go into the old Harvey. There's an old Harvey photos Facebook group, and then there's several different websites that deal with historical photos from Harvey. So that's where I found the photos that I've used on these pages. And then I have just some more printouts from Find a Grave and different things. And then I have some photos, some layouts about my Nana. and then we'll go to the next set. But before we do that, let's finish. And so these were Jack and Belle were the parents of her father, Frederick. Now we're going to do, so here's Ruby, Frederick, and then Jack and Charlotte, or Jack and Belle. And then we go to her mother, Sarah, or Sadie, and she had two parents, John Alexander and Annie Isabel. So John Alexander Wightman and Annie Isabel Messer Wightman are the next two grandparents that we're going to go through and do. So let's get started. So I've gathered up some materials and some photos and just slid them into page protectors so that they're going to be easy to deal with. So I just picked some old Harvey photos and placed them in this page protector, and I tried to gather supplies that were kind of similar. Let's start with John, and then we'll do Annie next. So this is not a picture of John. This is a picture of Harvey, Sir Harvey, who the town was named after. And then this is a memorial that describes the second party went on in the Cornelius of Sunderland in 1837 and founded Harvey, New Brunswick. And so John Alexander Wightman was born in England in 1829. So they came over in 1837. So in 1839 he would have been 10. So he was 8 years old when he came over to America, and really they, or not to America, to Canada. And his parents were John Wightman and Mary Davison, and they really would have been responsible for building this town basically from the ground up. And it was a town where they had a railroad stop. So I just got it. This is not, this isn't going to be from when he was born, but it just kind of shows the progression of the town. And then I've got a printout about Harvey settlement. So this is a report from the Honorable L.A. Wilmot, Commissioner for Harvey Settlement, 1844. May it please your Excellency, I have the honor to lay before your Excellency a statistical return of the Harvey settlement for the past year, including also the new settlers in the rear lots. With the great success which has followed the labors of these industrious and valuable settlers is an unquestionable proof of what may yet be done on our millions of wilderness lands. The return shows that from land where not a tree had been felled in July 1837, there have been taken during the past autumn 260 tons of hay and straw and 15,000 bushels of grain, potatoes, and turnips. It is desirable that the accompanying return be circulated among the settlers, friends, and countrymen in the north of England as well as other parts of the United Kingdom, so that the capabilities of our new land soil may appear, and that it may also be known that we have at least 5 million acres yet undisposed of, a great portion of which is of better quality than the land at Harvey, whereupon the sober and industrious immigrant may create a home under the protection of the British laws and in the enjoyment of the British institutions. So I'm real familiar with American history, but not so much with Canadian history. So this was like, they were like, look, this is great. The soil isn't even that good, and these people are growing turnips and potatoes, and so send more people over to populate Canada, I guess. So that's the story, and what I've selected for the background paper is this that includes a map and like laying out of town. So I liked that idea, and then I figured that I would. So several things. Is I need to figure out. I could put just the story and then point to Harvey settlement, but I think I want to use this space to tell the story that I'm going to copy down from online. So I'm figuring the photos are going to go over this way, and the story is going to go over here. So I have about 4 photos I would like to include on this page, And then I'm thinking of my four great-great-grandparents from this line, he was the only one that made the voyage. The rest of them were born already here. So this is going to be the story of the settlement of Harvey. So let me trim down these photos and kind of figure out photo placement. And then before I stick anything down, which is unusual for me, because usually I like to just start sticking things down immediately, but I want to go ahead and handwrite the story of Harvey. So I will get online and just, find something and basically copy it down, mostly practically word for word. So I'm going to plagiarize somebody else's research, which I totally encourage you to do in your family history. If there's a story out there and you can use it, use it. That makes things a lot easier. Especially when something's been highly documented like this, so that the stuff that I'm copying, I'm pretty confident is accurate, So it's going to kind of go like this. So let's maybe do, there's Sir Harvey. And I want to label, when I put him in here, I'm going to also want to label him so we don't think this is John, we think this is not John. There's Harvey Station, Harvey Settlement. So I'm just trying to kind of figure out a little bit how I want that to look. I might trim this down even a little bit more. Okay, and I like to put a small tiny mat on these photos, but I think it maybe a little something like this. Yep. So what I want to do is I want to have my, what I'm going to do, even though I just said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and mat all these photos and stick them down before I do my journaling, just so that I can kind of write around them. Just trying to decide where. I think about here. Oh, okay. So let's start this little process. So I've gathered a bunch of papers that are all kind of in the same color families that I've been using to mat the different things. So let's start with that. Da-da-da. So for the matting papers, I don't want anything too wild. I just want, I just want it to be enough so that it is, and those colors really look similar. So I'm going to bring that in as the mat. I just want a little something to show that I, paid a little bit of attention to each one of those photos. Hey scrapbookers, I'm back, and it's been a while. We went out to dinner and then out for ice cream, so it's been several hours, but I'm back, and I didn't finish this completely, but while I was uploading other videos, I did get those photos matted and adhered down to the page so they're not falling off. And I also started to write the story, and there's more to the story, but I want to get some of these letter stickers on here first before, so I know how much more room I have. Yeah, I'm quickly running out of room. Okay, so let's get these stickers down. And so I'm even thinking there's going to be more letter stickers. So probably right here above the story I'm going to write Harvey Settlement or Harvey. How do we want those? Do we want those like that? I think so. So I just try to get it under there. And I just want to say shout out to Mary, who leaves a lot of comments. Thank you, Mary. I bet you we're related. She is like, I just read it and I forgot. Like I said, I'm not a detail girl. Or maybe I said that in the last video, but she was something like 92% British. I'm like 69% British, and that was like the, more British than the Queen of England kind of thing. So she's like super British. And then my daughter had her friend over, and the daughter the friend had remembered that I was into genealogy, so after we went out for ice cream, she's like, do you think we could go in and look at some of my ancestors on Ancestry.com? Because they don't have the subscription, and she wants it. Isn't it funny how, like, what you're interested in, your kids aren't, or like my dad was so interested in this, and while he was interested in it, I was like, I'd let him show it to me, but I didn't express any kind of like oohs and ahs, I was just like, that's great, Dad. That's a lot of names and dates. Fabulous. I was, said it quite sarcastically, I'm sure. Sorry, Dad. But yeah, the friend is like super interested in it, and then my kids are like, they're doing basically what I did. It's like, yep, that's nice, Mom. Real exciting. Not that exciting, in other words. But I think someday they will be interested, I think it's rare that people are interested in this sort of stuff when they're still young. I think it's something that you do get to appreciate more as you grow up and get older. Although, I gotta say, I've been watching on the BYU channel. So we get the Brigham Young University channel on our cable. And there's a show that's a lot like, it is a lot like Who Do You Think You Are and Finding Your Roots, but it's called The Generations Project. And it's done so well. It really is. And so the guy that was just on it was like, I was never really... I don't know if you saw the cat just walked by and jumped over a bunch of stuff, and yeah, she's crawling all over the place. So sorry if that is, that's, it's distracting. I'm sorry. These are not professional videos. That's why they're free on YouTube. If I ever make professional videos that I charge for, they will not include cats. How about that? Deal? But as long as I'm making these for free and just doing it for fun, sometimes you're going to get a cat in there. It's true. Okay, so I think these words, English immigrant to Harvey, and it was a little confusing because they said they advertised in Scotland, but some of the stuff I've read, I feel like they've come from Northumberland, England, which I think might be like Lower Scotland. I should look that up. Okay. English immigrant to Harvey. No. So I'm thinking some of these little letters should go up here. Settlement, Canada. There's a lot of letters though. I kind of went overboard. Big surprise. Canada. Harvey Settlement, Canada. Can I cram all this up here? Because I want to. Yes. So I think all those letters are going to go up there. And then let's just finish out his, the dates. And I think I'm just going to put them right here instead of like cramming this all over here. Just so that there's still a little white space on that photo so it doesn't feel like it's so trapped, but we'll hold off on those for a second. So I'm going to get these letters on, and then I'm going to finish out the journaling, and then I'll read it to you. And it's nothing that I made up. I copied it off from the internet. And so I'll tell you the name of the site where I got it. But it is the story about how Harvey was settled. So in the last video, I took a picture of a house and I posted it on the old Harvey photos on Facebook, the group. And you don't have to be, you don't have to have ancestors from Harvey or anywhere in New England even to get this to work for you. If you have a place where your ancestors are from, either you're going to be able to find a group with your surname on Facebook or a group with the historical society of that area. So there's John's name, John Alexander Wightman, and he was from 1829 to 1891. So he was born, he was like 8 years old when they got to Harvey. I think I established that in the last one. Okay, let me just go ahead and write the rest of the story, and I'll be right back. Okay, scrapbookers, I'm back, and I looked up two things. One is Northumberland, because I was getting ready to put down English immigrant, and I wanted to make sure these people were not from Scotland, that they were from England. And so Northumberland is the northernmost county in England. So they were right there on the border to Scotland. So, there might have been some Scots in there. So English immigrant. And I chose the word immigrant with an I instead of immigrant with an E, which they say the immigrant ships from Berwick. So you're an immigrant if you're leaving the country, and you're an immigrant if you're coming to the country. So I think you could be both, just depending on the perspective. So, let's see. And I'm probably pronouncing Northumberland wrong. I'm pretty sure I am. So if you know how to pronounce that, let me know. Okay, so when a person emigrates with an E, she leaves one country or region to live in another, either temporarily or permanently. When she immigrates, she arrives in that other country. In other words, she emigrates with an E from one country to immigrate with an I to the other country. Confusing? Kinda. Okay, so this is John Alexander Wightman. I don't have his particular story. I don't have his picture. But I included all this information about him because he's one of the people on the ship. So let me read to you about that story. And I got it from, it's www.village.harveystation.ca for Canada. So I just copied the story down like word for word. So is this really a page about John? It's him and all the rest of the people that came over. But I don't have any particulars on this John right now. I might in the future, and I think that's what one of the things I really want to encourage you to do is don't let not having the full story stop you from scrapbooking part of the story. So this is part of the story. In 1837, the Stanley Company started advertising in Scotland, encouraging families to move to their land, and I think it's implied in Canada. In May 1837, 160 people from the Wooler area set sail across the Atlantic on the ship Cornelius de Sunderland to St. John in Canada. They arrived in June 1837, and 26 families headed to Fredericton by a steamboat called the Water Witch. Upon their arrival to Fredericton, they were told that, welcome to Canada. Just want to let you know something bad has happened. So they were told that the Stanley Land Company ran out of money. So the families went to Lieutenant Governor Sir John Harvey, this is this guy right here, who said they could go work on the road to St. Andrews and draw lots upon it. In return, the community would be named after Sir John Harvey. Oh, I wrote Henry, but I meant Harvey. Let me fix that. That's why it's a good idea to read your journaling. Harvey. There we go. I think that's fine. Yep. Okay. The living conditions were extremely difficult for the next few years. There were no roads for wagons. Men had to carry everything on their backs. Diseases like diphtheria and typhus killed several people. In 1869, the section of railroad between Fredericton and St. John was completed and ran straight through Harvey. So that's the little railway station there. See, it says Harvey. Harvey. It's a fun name, huh? I'd like to have a dog named Harvey. Okay, and ran straight, like we had a dog named Belle, which is his wife, or the other one's wife. So many Isabellas, it's hard to keep track. But Harvey would be a great name for a dog, too. I will have to tuck that away for our next golden retriever, which will be our next dog. Okay, off topic. Fredericton and St. John was completed and ran straight through Harvey. This brought a sudden change in the economy. Hotels were constructed to house travelers, and stores were built as well. So it got affluent for a while. The Harvey Railway Passenger Station was built in 1869 and an extension in 1909 and was demolished in 1962. So I can imagine that's when the economy started going on. And I don't think it's particularly affluent now. I watched a YouTube video about some guys in Harvey with one of the same last names as me, and it didn't look particularly fancy. I don't know. Maybe it is. I would like to actually get passports and get up there. Okay, let's embellish. So I think we're about done with the story on here. The only thing I don't have is I need to write Sir John Harvey's name over his picture, just so there's no confusion as to who he is. So I think I will do that off camera, because that's, I'm just going to basically write his name. Probably with those same letter stickers that I've been using from Basic Gray. There are these here. And I had a bunch of sheets of them that I got at a scrapbooking yard sale. So I think I can still do another. I should probably check first, but it's going to be white just right over here. So we know that we're not talking about, like, I'm not saying that's my dude. But it's nice to have a picture. It is. Even if you don't have a picture of your own relative, if there's somebody that's connected to their life, like the guy who, made it possible for Harvey to be a town, or in another case, another one of my great-grandfathers, I didn't have a picture of him, but he was, involved in this cult, so I got the cult leader's name or picture. So sometimes you can't find a picture of your own relative, but you can find a picture of somebody from that time period, and if they're connected to your person, I say use the picture, because it's at least something, and I think it's interesting to look at faces, so you find a face if you can. It's not going to happen every time, but I think it helps. Okay, be right back. Okay, I'm back. So's the cat. So I've placed this little leafy thing here because I've got some gold up here. Here she is. Hopefully she'll find herself a spot. I can't remember what I did from the last time. That's pretty lame. Sorry. But I did look for some embellishments, and I found this. It says 3 pence and also explore, so I thought that was, this did have to do with money. I also found this little bit with the train, which I thought would be perfect, but I'm not sure I can really fit this in anywhere, because it's just it just doesn't seem to fit. So I think I'm going to save this. And then I also found this, which is from Missouri, but it's like an old dirt road. And, well, it says Missouri, but it, you know, it looks pastoral and probably what it looked like when they moved to New Brunswick. So I'm going to put those under his wife's thing, and I can talk. No, I can't. And then I might, with hers, I was thinking of using these tags, and so I might cut a little bit of those down and just tuck them in around, but I'll probably do that after I do her page. So the embellishment on this is going to be actually pretty sparse. And let's just get that down. So the place I thought I liked it was right down here. Yeah, and then I almost thought like there needs to be a little more something up that way. So, and the reason why pence works is that Canada is like a colony of Great Britain, right? Yeah, right? Yeah. I think so. Okay, so yeah, the embellishments I'm not like super excited about them, but I think they're fine. Let's see if we can just get a little bit of this action over here. So I was kind of thinking like, you know, just a little bits and pieces. But yeah, again, I think I will do that after I do her page. So let's do her page next. But we'll call this one done for now. It could use some oomph and polish, but I'm not going to give it to it right now. The most important parts of this story are down, so I feel really good about that. I feel like I would love to have some more information on John, but I don't have it right now. So I'm going to work with what I have and call it done. Thanks for watching.